Hey, it's Adas. We're back on the subject of procrastination, and now we're going to talk about fear. Okay, I am going to be using my notes, and there is a link below because I'm going to be going through the procrastination guide now. All right, and I'm going to go through it. I'm going to talk about it page by page so you can kind of use this video to fill in the gaps if you have questions, because I actually just wrote this kind of like in a block form, and this is not a book. I didn't fill in the details there. It's just highlighted points. So the first thing I want you to know right now, we're going to address fears, and we are going to address these emotions, which was mentioned in these statistics about mood regulation. But first of all, I want to talk about fear and how it impedes focus. And so fear is an enemy of focus. And the Blockit planner that we've created and this little guide that we've created is to tackle this problem. We want you to get comfortable and to get really, I don't want to just say comfortable. We want you to get proficient at absolutely ignoring fear. Absolutely saying, hey, I'm going to do this anyways. Like, you don't have a voice in my head anymore. We're going to go on. So fear impedes focus. And then that impeding of focus causes procrastination. And then when procrastination kicks in, what does it look for? It looks for distractions and it looks for avoidance. And I think that's worth saying again. I know we're already 2 minutes in, but I'm going to say it again because this is like the cycle, okay? So what do we have? Fear impedes focus. Right? Fear, you're focused, boom, fear comes along, boom. All right, what am I doing? This, it's no use. What's the use? I'm not gonna get anywhere with this anyways, all right? So fear impedes focus. Then that causes procrastination because all these negative thoughts or the fear of the unknown or the fear of rejection or the fear of facing the problem, all right, causes procrastination. And what does procrastination do? When it kicks in, it's like the P word, right? And when it kicks in, it's like it wants to find something to distract from the issue, distract from the progress, distract from the project, distract from the phone call, the text, the things that have to be done. So then it looks for distractions and avoidance. All right. So it's interesting that when you face your fears, you actually develop a particular character trait. So the more that fear is faced and it actually becomes the wings, the fuel of focus, right? Then the more you develop that character trait called meekness, which is strength under control. That it actually, the more you conquer this, the stronger character you develop, the stronger nefesh, your soul becomes bolder and stronger in a very quiet kind of way. And you stop looking at the negatives. You stop looking at the things that are hindering you. And you start looking at the goal, at the vision, the purpose, as we talked in the last videos. So one of the characters that was known as the meekest man on earth was Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, right? And if you think about fear, and you think about Moses, we've got some real visuals here. First of all, Moses kills an Egyptian, buries the body, doesn't think anybody sees, But when he hears that somebody's sane, he flees. He knows he is going to be, if Pharaoh catches him. So he flees from fear. All right. The next thing, major event, is he ends up at the feet of God, like a burning bush. God says, take off your shoes, right? He's facing God. And God gives him an impossible task. I want you to go into Egypt, and I want you to deliver my people out of Egypt. You got to be kidding me. You want me to go into Egypt and take an entire nation out of Egypt? Like, that's an impossible task. So now you know why we get the phrase, with God, all things are possible, right? Okay, so we've got God Moses has to face. He has to face his wife when there's a circumcision issue problem in the family. He's got to face Pharaoh almost every single day, especially every single day God says, I'm going to cause a plague, right? He's got to go to Pharaoh and say, this is what's going to happen. So, and he has to face the Israelites, who are not too happy he showed up, because since he shows up, things get worse for them until they get better. So we're talking severe rejection. We're talking a lot of fear of the unknown. And we're talking a lot of fear that he would fail. And all these things, he is dealing with these internal and external fears at a very, very high level, but he never succumbs to them. He faces them. And the more he faces them, the bolder he becomes, but also the more that Hashem is able to manifest his power, his glory through it. So he's able to work things out the more Moshe takes the initiative. He doesn't sit back. He hears, he does. He hears, he acts. He acts. He acts. He attaches the call to an action. And so here he is. And so the more he's challenged, especially by Pharaoh, the more rejection he encounters, because Pharaoh never agrees to him. He rejects him every single time. All right? The more and the stronger he becomes as an individual. And I know I've said this a couple of times. I want you to let this sink into you, because most people, when they get rejected, they quit. They quit. And when you hear the saying that the goal, right, is right here, and you're right here, and that the majority of people, before they reach this, they quit right here. They quit. Now, there are times you do need to quit. I'm not saying not, but that's not the majority. And I have encountered many people, coach many people who struggle with this problem, that they have internalized rejection, and it's very hard for them to move forward. So not knowing the possible outcome of rejection, you always have to remember one thing. Your rejection is Hashem's protection. Moshe didn't realize it then, but every time Pharaoh rejected Moshe, God embraced Moshe and said, don't worry about it, son. I got this. I got this. And so there was a lot of protection there for Moshe, because there was an end goal. And if there would have been a buddy-buddy moment there with Pharaoh, we don't know if that end goal ever would have materialized. The next thing is following through, and I'm going to read this here. Following through removes the fear and brings you to a conclusion or an understanding or an opportunity. So once you know where you stand on something, then you can consider your options and you can actually, create your game plan. So often the unknown cripples us, and we can't create a plan if we don't know. So facing what we have, creating the plan, because we know versus what we don't know, makes it a lot easier to move forward. And a lot of us have been stuck here with this COVID thing. Because of the unknowns of COVID, a lot of people really, really got stuck. And we were put in a lot of sticky positions during the COVID. But even now after, psychologically, people are really struggling to move forward because there still is this unknown that sits outside. So the more we know, the more we equip ourselves with knowledge, the more we move forward. All right, I'm going to stop here and we will move on to talk about identifying the things you say to yourself. I'll see you in the next video.